The closure of Niger's airspace has disrupted aviation services into and out of Africa as carriers grapple with longer alternative routes. As CGTN's Nick Mudimba reports, the situation is forcing airlines to detour as the disruption adds to a band of African airspace facing geopolitical upheavals that also includes Libya and Sudan.
Airlines around the world have now been forced to scramble to ensure their flights to Africa have enough fuel to reach the destinations. The Sudanese airspace is still closed, making the situation even more difficult. Sudan's current ban on flights went into effect in late July, but the airspace has been effectively closed since mid-April 2023. Multiple European countries, including Germany, France, and the UK, as well as the US and Canada, prohibit their civil aircraft from operating in Libyan airspace. With Niger's airspace now off limits as well, airlines flying between the Americas, Europe and Southern Africa will need to reroute and add some more miles to their flights, increasing the amount of fuel each flight will need and time of the flight. Flights from New York to Nairobi, Kenya are among the many affected. The normal routing always sees the crew take off from New York across the Atlantic Ocean and join the African continent over Morocco. From Morocco, they fly over Algeria, then to the southeast towards Nairobi. From Niger, the aircraft will fly towards Chad, then through the Central African Republic into Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, before arriving in Nairobi. But because of the disruptions in Libya, Niger and Sudan, the flight plan is longer. The crew takes off from New York, flies northwards towards Canada, then through the British Oceanic airspace, then to Spain. From Spain, the flight goes through the southern airspace of France, then to the Italian airspace, and then to southern Greece. The first touch of the African airspace is through the Egyptian airspace. Fly again towards the Saudi Arabian territory to avoid the southern airspace. Then start flying towards Nairobi through the Eritrean airspace, followed by Ethiopia before touching down in Nairobi. Before these disruptions, airlines spent a total of 13 hours flying through the destinations, but the longer route takes up to 15 hours, a difference of 2 hours. Most long-haul jets that perform the extended operations, like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, consume an average of 90 liters of fuel per minute, meaning an extra fuel burn of 10,800 liters over the extra 2-hour period. Nick Mudimba, CGTN.
We're now joined by Derek Nseko, founder at Airspace Africa, iFly Global. He is based in Kampala, Uganda. Thank you so much for joining us, Derek. Derek, at least 3 African countries have closed their airspace. What is the economic impact of this to airlines and affected countries?
Yes, so there's definitely an immediate effect on airlines. So the African aviation industry, when it comes to intercontinental flights, is actually largely served by foreign airlines. About 80% of flights coming into the African continent are by foreign airlines. So this impact on airlines as a result of airspace closure, and as we've seen before, even with the likes of Sudan, will actually be for foreign airlines. So we've had communicates from the likes of KLM, France British Airways, who have already reacted to this, and there is definitely an immediate impact in terms of flight time. The flight time definitely translates into more fuel burn for the airlines, and as a result, obviously, higher costs on each of these flights. So for the airlines, they will be looking during this period at more costs for their African flights. So that is the direct impact for the airlines. For the consumer, for the passenger, the immediate impact is quite simply longer flight times, and that might bring its own inconveniences, to be honest.